Annie. Today I'm going to do a completely different kind of video. Usually I share makeup, skincare tips, but today I'm going to do something just a little different. On Monday we'll get back to makeup, but I recently shared that I moved to Florida, and I do share vlogs on my channel occasionally anyways. Just consider this sort of a vlog. I recently moved to Florida. I shared that, and so many of you were interested in knowing more about the whole process. That is what today's video is going to be about. Before we get started, please make sure you click that button below, hit the subscribe button. I share new videos every single week. Let me talk first about the small little process of talking to my spouse. He wasn't on board with this at first, so I kind of had to plant the seed. If you're in that kind of situation, my advice is to plant that seed, do your research on where you think you would want to move and why it would be, why it would be beneficial. You just kind of have to go through and do all that research and then talk to your spouse. Don't just say, I want to move, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you have the facts. Make sure you know about the housing, and if you need to get a job, the job market, and just everything. Just get that all in place first. The next thing is to check the area. We moved to Florida, and the crime is higher in Florida than it was where we're living. Not to say that where we're living was like I would leave my doors open at nighttime because there was crime where I lived. There's crime everywhere. But when you look at the numbers, the statistics, we looked at the statistics where we were living compared to pretty much anywhere in Florida. The crime is higher here than it was where we were living in Illinois. We picked an area that had the safest, that was the safest area for us. The websites I was looking at when I was looking at different areas is I looked at Neighborhood Scout. They'll tell you the crime and the type of crimes too that are in the area, how many and all of that. So that's a really, really great site to check out. It's called Neighborhood Scout. Write that down because I may forget to put that in the notes. Another thing that we looked at that was really important for us is house prices. Where we were living in Illinois, in most of Illinois, really, I don't even know where you go, housing is really expensive. And property taxes are really high. Those were a couple of the reasons that we left the state besides the weather. Where we live in Central Florida, the housing is very affordable, the taxes are ridiculously low, and so those are the areas, and that's where we are in Central Florida. That's why where we're at. I'm not going to share the town that I'm in just for security reasons. I'm just not going to share the town that I'm in, but we are in Central Florida. The closer you move to the ocean on either side, the more you're going to pay for your house, the more you're going to pay for your taxes, and the more you're going to pay for your homeowner's insurance. Homeowner's insurance is really expensive the closer you get to the ocean because of the hurricanes. You could also get homeowner's insurance for sinkholes. That is what you want to do when you start to research homes, the crime, and the housing prices, because you have to know, like, you might fall in love with an area, but you also have to know how much are the houses, what do the neighborhoods look like, and how you check the neighborhoods before you even go there. Go on Google Maps. My husband knew the whole area and even knew the drive, so when we came here, he knew how to get around. He didn't even have to use, he felt like we've lived here because he would do virtual drives on Google Maps through the areas and just check it out visually that way. Then you start looking at houses online. Again, you can go through Google Maps. You can go on realtor.com. What's the other one? Redfin is another. It's like a realtor.com, but it's called Redfin, redfin.com. So you can look at houses there. So, whatever town you're interested in, look at the houses, see what the house prices are. They'll usually list the taxes and everything that are on there. Then sometimes on realtor.com and sometimes on a Redfin, you can do a virtual 360 of that, where that house is and everything, but not always, because some of the communities are gated. So if it's in a gated community, you're not going to be able to see because they don't have access to that. So then, just when you're looking at homes, you'll have to check it out. So that's another thing too. Gated communities. I didn't put that on my list. Gated communities, lots of gated communities, so you have a little extra security that way. And another thing to know about Florida that a lot of people don't know, the HOA is really high here, although our area is not. But when you're looking at the home, look at the HOAs, which is the Homeowners Association. Now, some of them they're a little bit high. Keep in mind that sometimes it's the cable. It's, you know, they do all the maintenance. They mow the lawn. They take care of all your landscaping. They paint your house. So there are areas like that that pretty much do everything. And if you weren't planning on doing your own lawn service or anything like that, that's something to keep in mind, that you can figure out maybe, you know, if it would be worth it for you to live in an area like that. When you're looking at homes, look at that. That is really important, because it could be monthly, it could be annually. So look at that, because that's going to impact how much it's going to cost you a month. The next thing that I suggest to do, and this is what we did too, is go to that area to check it out. We came here on vacation last summer. We found a realtor, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. We found a realtor, and we looked at houses online that we were interested in the areas. And when we came here, she took us to those areas so we could get a feel of it. You know, we looked at the houses, we walked inside, we drove around the neighborhoods. You know, you can go there. I think we went there at nighttime too. But you can go there at nighttime or on the weekend just to get a feel of what it's like there. Is it quiet? Is there a lot of stuff going on? We wanted a quiet neighborhood. That was really important for us. Another thing you have to look at is the job market. If you are someone that doesn't work out of their house, doesn't have their own business, or you need to still work because you have a job somewhere else, you really need to think about that before you even move too, because there are a lot of jobs here. Jobs in Central Florida are booming as far as hospitality field, even in the computer industry or field. Those jobs are really becoming more and more and more. And I think even in the building, they're building a lot in our area. So those are jobs I think that can be easily gotten, but just have to research and look for that. My husband's job, the job that he's doing at home now. So he works out of our home doing the same thing he did. So we didn't have that added extra concern about a job, because he's doing what he did before in our house. But if you don't, then you really, really have to look into that. And you also have to think about what happens if something happened to that job. Would you be able to get another job? Could you just work part-time? We thought about all of that. Once you do all that research and you know where you want to live and you've thought about the jobs and everything in that area, the next thing that you have to think about is getting your house ready on the market. Now for us, I slowly, over the past couple years before we actually put it on the market, because we were doing all this research. It took us about 2 years to really, really plan it and think about it. So again, this isn't something that you're gonna 6 months from now do. I don't think it can be done. I mean, it took us a good 2 years to really, really research. I mean, that's how long it took us. We really thought about where we wanted to live. This wasn't like a fast process. Over those 2 years, I slowly started to downsize. I had 2 really big garage sales, got rid of a ton of stuff. And then after that, I still had some more things to sell, and I had friends that had shops, but you can just go to, not a thrift shop that donates. I mean, you can do that if you just want to donate and don't want to sell, but if you want to try to get a little bit of money for yourself, I would see if you have a resale shop in your area that just, takes in stuff. Those are the places that I would go to and see if anybody's interested in buying your stuff. You just have to know you're not going to get a lot of money for it, but anything is better than nothing. So that is what I did with most of my furniture. I didn't get rid of all of my furniture. I kept enough to stage my home for sale. You've got to really declutter your house. You have to kind of depersonalize it in a way, but keep enough stuff up that it looks nice to sell. So like our living room had a sofa, a table, and a lamp. And then I had a nice plant on the table. I mean, it was very bare minimum. My dining room had a plant. I got a real plant as a centerpiece. I just had a dining room table, chairs, just like that. I didn't have pictures hanging all over. I took all that down. We had somebody come and paint our house. I did not clean my carpets. They needed to be replaced. So I just felt to put the money in, somebody's going to replace it anyway. So I didn't do that. So you really have to look at your area too. Where we were living, house prices were still tanking. For us to put the money into our house to not even get any of that back, I just did what I needed to do. And I felt like I needed to paint the house so it was fresh and clean. I really feel like after selling a couple homes myself, I feel that a clean house sells faster. A decluttered house sells faster too. I can't tell you how many times I looked online at houses that had stuff everywhere on the counters, so much furniture, like too much furniture in rooms that I couldn't visually picture myself or my stuff in it. Think about that when you're selling a house, that you've got to get stuff packed away, pack up clothes, go through your clothes if you're going out of state, because especially if you're moving somewhere where it's warmer, you don't need those winter clothes. So those are all things you have to think about, and you just slowly do it. That's why it took us a couple of years, because slowly by slow, just kept on going through stuff and getting rid of stuff. We sold all of our furniture except for 2 pieces. I'm sitting on it. My chair I kept, and I kept a little table in my daughter's room. And we had a folding table chair set, just like a card table thing. But I mean, we sold all of our furniture. We got rid of our mattresses that are 25 years old. The reason that we did that is, one, when you are moving out of state, to move all of that furniture is going to cost you a fortune. It's going to cost a lot. And you don't know if it's going to fit into your house. You don't know if it's going to fit into the style of the house. And you also are going to pay a lot of money to move it when you can just buy new. When you're looking to sell your house, now you can do it yourselves. We did that not this last time, but the time before we sold our house, but the market was different. We decided to go with a realtor this past time because the market was really bad in our area, and we just needed to get the word out as far as possible about our house, because we wanted to sell as soon as possible. We just wanted to get out of there. And so I asked friends, do you know of a realtor? Because that's how I found mine. Do you know of a realtor? I looked at reviews on this realtor. I looked at their photos. So important. Look at the photos. Look at the listings that they have. If they are sharing, because that's how we found this house that we're living in, is online. That's how a lot of people are going to find your house nowadays. It's not so much about driving around looking at houses or whatever. People go online and they look at houses. And if they are looking online at a house that has blurry photos, dark photos, crooked photos, a close-up of a toilet, these are all things that I saw, a messy house, then they're not going to be interested in your house. That's what's going to sell your house, is those photos. People are going to come to your house because of those photos. So if you have lousy photos, people aren't going to come to your house because it's not showing well online. And if it's not showing well online, it's not going to show well in person. So make sure you find a realtor that takes really good photos. I'm telling you, it is so, so, so important. And if you're looking at a house, I'm sure you're looking at that too. So think about the things that you're looking at when you're looking at houses online, and make sure that you're not doing the mistakes that other people are making. Before you call your realtor, something I forgot to mention, check your area for your price value. Kind of get an idea. Now, like I said, the market wasn't really good where we were living, and don't go according to Zillow. Zillow is drunk. I'm telling you, Zillow is drunk, because they will either say that your house is like $20,000 more than it is, or $20,000 less than it is. Just kind of look online and see what's sold in your area, how big it was, what it looked like, and all that. That's going to make a big factor. But even for us, even though we knew what we should have gotten for our house, a realtor agreed, because I had that number in mind and he was thinking the same thing. We ended up getting less, and it wasn't because of what they were willing to pay. It was because it was appraised for less. Now, does that mean that, maybe I should have gotten an appraiser first? Not necessarily, because appraisers, it's their opinion. So you could have 10 different appraisers come in your house, and they're all going to give you a different number. And we could have just said, nope, we're going to go with somebody else. But that next person could have maybe found it to be less value. Maybe it could have been more. But we just didn't want to take that chance and miss out on a sale because the market isn't really good. So just keep that in mind, that kind of what we did is we said, okay, this is what we want to sell our house for. This is what we can, and like, this is what we can't sell our house for. Like, we can't go to that low. So kind of have that in mind, just so you know when you're in that situation, you don't want to panic and then take an offer that's maybe too low, because you have to remember the realtor is going to get their commission out of it, and there's closing fees and all that. So just keep that in mind. Just really have that set out of, this is what we can get, if we get this, blah, blah, blah. You want to have an idea, so when you're looking at houses online too, you're looking at houses that are in your price range. Just like painting fresh, a clean, uncluttered house sells fast. So that's why we painted our walls. We painted our walls. We didn't clean our carpeting, but I was vacuuming it every day. Our realtor said when he walked in our house, it smelled fresh, and I think it was because of the paint. You know how a painted house smells like a brand new house? So just make sure that it's clean. Every single day we cleaned our house. We were ready for someone to come at any time to look at our house. You want people to just see the layout, see the counters in the house, see the floors without stuff all over. So make sure that you're on top of it. Make sure that the outside of your house looks as good as the inside too. So make sure that your yard looks clean and tidy, your garage, everything should be really clean. Now, once everything goes through, you sell your house, everything goes through, then you want to start packing up the rest of your stuff. I found my boxes at cheapboxes.com. I'm not associated with them at all. I'm just telling you where I got them. And I bought the medium-sized boxes. I didn't want boxes that were going to be too heavy to carry with too heavy of stuff. So I just got medium-sized boxes. I bought bubble wrap from Cheap Boxes a couple times, but I felt like you didn't get a lot for the money. So I ended up going to Walmart, and they sell these big rolls of bubble wrap. That's where I bought my bubble wrap. Once I started packing my things, I started thinking about how we're going to get all of our stuff there. So you can get movers, or you can get a storage like a pod, and that's what we did. Again, I'm not associated with pods, but that's what we did. Now, I was looking at reviews, and it made me nervous about pods, because I heard some people said they got their things lost and they had issues with it. But just like any company, there's good and bad. So you just have to decide for yourself what you want to do and do your research. For me, I ended up going with pods. I had a great experience. First, you have to decide what size pod you want. Now, we went with the biggest size pod, and we didn't have furniture. You can get more than one pod, but we didn't want to do that. The one that they recommended, there's no way we would have gotten our stuff in there. If you're looking online visually and you're measuring out, because you can measure out, they give you the measurements for the pod, and you're like, there's no way it's going to fit in there, there's no way it's going to fit in there. So make sure that you get something bigger than what you think, in my opinion. You don't want to get anything too big though, because you don't want stuff falling all over. But we had a lot of boxes, because we had smaller boxes, so we got more boxes. You load it yourself. You can have somebody, you can ask for assistance with that. I didn't want to do that because we would have to pay more money, so I didn't do that, and we did it ourselves, and it wasn't a big deal. Loading it was really, really easy. You just have to take your time doing it, because it's like a puzzle. You got to figure out where to use up the best of your room, so you get all your stuff in there. Unpacking it's really easy. So they will, you make your appointment, they tell you when they're going to come, they deliver it, you fill it up, they take it. If you need to store it, which we did, they stored it for us, and then once you know where you're going to be, then they will take it to your location, you unpack it, they come and take it. I mean, it couldn't be any easier. I would highly, highly recommend them. Since we were moving out of state, once we knew everything went through and we hired the pod and we started packing all of our stuff, another thing that we had to do was we had to start making our plans for driving. We have 2 cars that we had to take care, and we could have had those shipped, but shipping cars is really expensive. So we had to drive here. What we did is my husband, like I said, was really good with Google Maps, so he got on Google Maps. And it took a lot of time, but he figured out like where we would drive, like our actual route of, the first day we're going to drive here from point A to point B. And when we're driving there, how many hours, how long it would take, and where we were going to stay. So he had to figure out where we were driving, And then he also planned the hotel stays at each place we stayed at. So we drove to Kentucky the first day because we were coming from Illinois. And then the second day we were in Nashville. And then we went to Tennessee and then Georgia. And then Georgia we just drove right through. You know, he also planned a little fun stuff. So we went to Rock City. We went to see a Foo Fighters concert when we were in Nashville. So he did some fun things in our trip as well. But that's what he did. So you gotta make, if you're gonna do that, you gotta make your hotel reservations. You gotta do all that ahead of time. So plan that out. Another thing that you have to do or book is a condo or a home. So once you move out of your house, where are you gonna live? If you're moving, like once you drive there, what are you going to do? You probably won't have a house right away. So we rented a condo. I think I said we rented a house when I did my article, and I should have said condo, but house, it's a home. It's a place to live. So you want to rent a house or a condo somewhere in the area that you're going to be living, and that's what we did. You want a place to live until we lived there, and then while we're living there, we were looking at homes. So that's what we want to do. And we really wanted to get a place within a month, and we knew that we would. I don't know how we knew. I mean, some of this could be luck on our end, how it worked out, but we looked at thousands of houses and we got really lucky finding this one. So we have to remember, we were looking at houses for 2 years. Now the market here, there wasn't a lot of homes for sale. It was kind of dry when we were looking, but we still were seeing homes that we knew that we could purchase. You know what I mean? Like we felt good about it. But you still have to have a rental place until, even if we moved here on the first day we found a house, you still have to have somewhere to live. So you want to do your research too and look at places to live. Make sure they accept pets. If you have a pet, you're going to want to look for a place that will, accept pets. Not all of them do. Okay, so really quickly, because I know this is a really long video, but if you have a pet, this is what we did. I have a cat that's very anxious. She does not like car rides. She doesn't like to be boarded, but we had to do that because it was crazy what we had to do. I can't believe we did it, but we sold our house. We were in a hotel. She had to be boarded. Then after everything went through, we picked her up. We drove to the airport. She got on a plane with us. Then we stayed at a resort condo for the night. And the next day she had to be boarded again. So she did great on the airplane, which I was surprised. If you don't think your pet's going to do okay in the airplane, then you can get something from your vet to calm them down. I don't know what happened, but she did. She was fine. Get a carrier if you're going on a plane. You have to I believe you have to get a ticket for them. You have to make all the reservations ahead of time. You have to let them know that there's a pet that's going to be on the plane. They usually only allow so many pets on a plane at one time. So make sure you plan that out ahead of time too. And make sure that there's a leash whether you have a dog or a cat, because we had to take our cat out of the carrier. If I had not had that on, she would have been gone. So just keep that in mind. So after we did that, and we had to come back and get our cars. So she was being boarded. We drove our cars here to Florida. Then we picked her up and we stayed at a condo with her for a couple weeks. We had to come back here for my daughter's graduation, so we had to board her again. She was getting really ticked off at this point because she was so confused. And so we went to Illinois for her thing, came back, got her cat again, went to the condo again. Now, before we went there, we already bought our house and we found a house, but we still had to live there for several more weeks. So, but once we had to drive her to the house, it was the same situation again. She was just really upset, got sick in the car. So there really isn't a way to prepare it. But if you don't think your cat, which there's no way my cat would have done well in a car, don't drive your car, don't drive your animal in a car if you don't think they can do it unless they're medicated. Just take the airplane ride, get it over with, and then board them or whatever. But I'm just glad that we flew her and didn't do the other. So that was the process. It's kind of crazy that it all worked out. Driving and following each other was not easy. So hopefully you're okay with that. That's something you have to think about too if you're going to be doing this, unless you're going to ship your cars, but it's just really, really expensive. So I hope that I covered everything. I'm sorry if this was really long, but I just felt like there's so much information I had to share with you guys. I want to cram it all in here. And if you have any questions on anything, I will be more than happy to answer them. Just let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up and I will see you real soon. Bye.